Africa stands at a crossroads. Global trade wars between the US and China are shaking the world, but the IMF says Africa could turn this chaos into an opportunity. Could the continent emerge as the next economic powerhouse? Let's explore how Africa can seize this moment. Chapter 1. How the US-China trade war is shaking the world. The global trade environment is undergoing dramatic changes as the US-China trade war escalates. Rising tariffs, export restrictions, and trade barriers are forcing multinational companies to rethink where they source raw materials and produce goods. Supply chains that previously operated smoothly are now under stress, leading to delays, increased costs, and uncertainty in global markets. Economists call this geo-economic fragmentation, where countries restructure trade networks according to geopolitical alliances rather than efficiency. For Africa, this global turbulence presents both risks and opportunities. With multinational companies seeking stable and alternative markets, Africa is emerging as an attractive destination for investment, manufacturing, and trade expansion, opening doors to long-term economic growth and integration. Chapter 2. Why Africa is most at risk. Africa's reliance on commodity exports and limited industrial diversification makes the continent particularly vulnerable to global trade shocks. Many African economies depend heavily on exporting oil, minerals, and agricultural products to major markets like China, the US, and Europe. Any changes in demand or imposition of tariffs directly impact revenues, national budgets, and local economies. The Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which provided preferential access to the U.S. market, is losing influence, further reducing Africa's trade advantages. Smaller economies with fragile fiscal systems are especially exposed to reduced foreign earnings and economic instability. Without diversification, Africa risks falling behind as global trade realigns. Policymakers and investors need to explore strategies for industrialization, diversification, and resilience. Chapter 3. IMF sees a silver lining for Africa. Even with these challenges, the International Monetary Fund sees Africa not just as vulnerable, but as uniquely positioned to seize new opportunities. According to the IMF, Africa's growing workforce, industrial capacity, and emerging digital infrastructure provide a foundation for long-term economic growth. The IMF highlights that by strengthening regional trade, developing stable currencies, and improving investment frameworks, African countries can mitigate the impact of global disruptions. This perspective encourages African nations to shift from dependency on external markets toward internal resilience and strategic autonomy. The IMF emphasizes that while global trade tensions create uncertainty, they also incentivize multinational companies to consider Africa as an alternative destination for production and investment. Chapter 4. Africa's game changer, regional trade integration. Regional trade integration is central to the IMF's recommendations. The African Continental Free Trade Area, or AFCFTA, is transforming intra-African commerce by lowering tariffs and reducing trade barriers. Among member countries, a unified market allows goods and services to flow more freely across borders, increasing economic efficiency and encouraging entrepreneurship. By fostering regional cooperation, Africa can reduce its reliance on the US, China, and Europe, creating resilient domestic markets. Integration also supports industrialization, as companies can operate more efficiently and benefit from economies of scale within the continent. The IMF stresses that strong regional trade frameworks are essential for Africa to capitalize on emerging global opportunities while insulating itself from external shocks. Chapter 5. The power of strong African currencies. Developing competitive and stable currencies is another key strategy recommended by the IMF. Many African nations currently rely heavily on foreign currencies like the US dollar and Chinese yuan, leaving their economies exposed to exchange rate volatility. Strengthening local currencies allows governments and businesses to maintain financial stability, facilitate smoother trade, and attract foreign investment. A competitive currency also encourages intra-African trade, reducing costs and increasing efficiency. Within the continent, By implementing sound monetary policies and maintaining fiscal discipline, African nations can protect themselves from the fluctuations of global markets while encouraging economic growth. The IMF believes financial autonomy is crucial to long-term resilience in a fragmented global economy. Chapter 6. Building the Future. Investment in infrastructure and digital technology is vital for Africa's economic transformation. Modern ports, roads, railways, and energy systems allow goods to move efficiently across borders, boosting industrial productivity and trade capacity. Similarly, digital infrastructure such as high-speed internet and mobile payment systems can connect businesses and consumers, supporting innovation and entrepreneurship. These developments help integrate Africa into the global digital economy, attracting foreign investment and promoting industrialization. The IMF stresses that infrastructure and technology investments are not just about growth, they are about creating a foundation that allows African economies to compete internationally and respond effectively to global economic shocks. Chapter 7. Africa's Trade Revolution. Diversifying trade partnerships is crucial for Africa to reduce vulnerability, over-reliance on the US and China exposes African nations to policy changes and economic disruptions beyond their control. By expanding trade with emerging markets, the Middle East, India, and intra-African partners, countries can open new avenues for economic growth. Diversification also allows Africa to negotiate better trade deals, attract investment, and protect itself from geopolitical risks. The IMF highlights that a multi-directional trade strategy ensures Africa is not dependent on a single market, creating more stability and long-term opportunities. As global companies rethink their supply chains, Africa's diversified markets become a competitive advantage. Chapter 8. Turning Challenge into Opportunity. The IMF stresses that Africa has a unique chance to transform global challenges into strategic opportunities. By embracing regional integration, competitive currencies, infrastructure investment, and trade diversification, the continent can build resilience and emerge as a major economic player. Policymakers, investors, and entrepreneurs have the chance to shape a future where Africa is no longer a peripheral player but a central hub in global trade. The combination of youthful populations, industrial growth, and innovative technology adoption positions Africa to seize opportunities arising from global disruptions. With careful planning and implementation of IMF recommendations, Africa can turn trade tensions into a springboard for sustainable growth and long-term prosperity. Africa faces challenges, but with smart policies, regional integration, and investment, the continent can turn global trade disruptions into a historic opportunity. The future is in Africa's hands, and the world is watching. If you find this video insightful, like, share, and subscribe.